watches our YouTube by all means.
The owl was
We can have a
listening.
lot of views.
The one for city council got flagged for 18 and older. I was like, what were they talking about that got flagged? I got in trouble for community guidelines. So I was like, how the heck did that happen? So, we have to have
What kind of city council meetings are you running?
All right, it's 5 o'clock. We have 4 people here, so we have a quorum. So I think we'll start the meeting. First thing is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item of business is the approval of the minutes from the January 18th, 2022 meeting.
Should make a motion that we approve the minutes.
All right, have a motion.
Second.
I have a second.
I was not
Okay,
here.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Luke and Jessica are gonna abstain because they weren't here. All right, next item on the agenda this evening is the public hearing for the consideration and vote to approve a variance for 602 North Pearl Street. El Potro Mexican Restaurant LLC is the applicant. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion to open hearing.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. I see no one from the public here to speak. Did we get any written correspondence?
I had a gentleman named Joe Batista. He lives at 3 West 4th Street. The residence right behind El Patro. He came in to look at the application. He had no concerns. He just wanted to be informed, he said. So he just wanted to see what's going on.
All right.
Yep, that's all.
Having no one here from the public to speak, I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
I would make a motion to close public hearing.
Second. Okay, I've got a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
How are you?
Hello, hi.
All right, so Randy, you want to
Absolutely.
make a presentation?
So there are 2 separate agenda items, but they're gonna kind of go with each other. So we have a variance and a site plan. So we're gonna talk about them both on one agenda item, but we gotta have 2 separate motions. So it's gonna be kind of confusing and I really apologize. So for the variance needs to pass in order for the site plan to pass. So that's why we're doing the variance first. El Potro is proposed to replace the existing patio deck with a new 1,236 square foot building addition. The new addition will extend beyond the 25-foot street line setback, which is along Pearl Street, by 12 feet 5 inches. The addition will allow for more year-round table service, and it's also going to add a carry-out window on the back side of the building. See here, there will be 1 parallel parking space that will be taken out of. The parking requirements for the LDO require for the restaurant to have 47 spaces. It actually already provides 53. So taking that one away, it still meets the parking regulations. It is tight, but I think that's more by design than by the amount of spaces, unfortunately. So for, according to the land development ordinance, section 21251 is the standard for variances. We're just going to go through them briefly so we have them all. A, under no conditions shall a variance permit a use that is not otherwise permitted in the zoning district. This is the TA zoning district, which it is approved. It's existing business, obviously. B, special circumstances or conditions exist peculiar to the land or building for which the variance is sought that do not apply to generally to lots, land, or buildings in the neighborhood. Sorry, got everything going on here. C, the special circumstances and conditions have not resulted in any act from the applicant. D, the special circumstances and conditions are such that the strict application of this ordinance's provisions would deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of their land or building. E, granting the variance is necessary to relieve the applicant of unnecessary hardship imposed by the regulations. F, the variance granted is the minimum necessary to relieve the unnecessary hardship and permit a reasonable use of the land. G, granting the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood surrounding the land where the variance is proposed and is otherwise not detrimental to the public welfare. H, granting the variance is in harmony with the ordinance's purpose and intent. And I, granting the variance is not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The last section is section 21-251, which allows the Board of Zoning Appeals to put certain conditions on variances. So you can approve them with conditions. In approving the application, the Board of Zoning Appeals may impose additional restrictions or conditions on such approval. Restrictions and conditions may be limited on the use of the property, the standards for locating the use, standards for mitigating the impact on adjoining properties. And then just to ensure that the neighbors are protected in the general health and safety and welfare. If the Board of Zoning Appeals wishes to approve the variance, staff does recommend approval of the variance with condition that the final site plan be approved by the Paola City Council. Because there's no point in approving the variance if it doesn't eventually, the final site plan doesn't get approved. So that would be the only condition that we would recommend. Action, the 4 members of the Board of Zoning Appeals needs to vote to approval for it to pass. Let's see here, we have the application and the site plan for your review. Other than that, I have Nick Ewing here with Sullivan Palmer's if you have any questions.
That's just, that new building is just replacing the existing deck.
Correct.
Correct.
I don't believe it's going any larger than the existing deck, correct?
Okay.
The parking spot that's coming out. So you're asking. So,
But the variances is, that was for 25-foot setback would be cut back to 12-foot.
So right now, since the deck is not an addition, it's an accessory to it, it had different setbacks. So since it will be an addition that's attached to the building, like an actual structure, it has to abide by the 25-foot setbacks. So it's not gonna go any larger than the deck is, but since it's an actual building, it has different setbacks than what the deck was. So since they're tearing down the deck and putting an addition, it has to comply with the new setbacks. So that's why we have to have variance.
So that's not a problem then, or?
No, I don't foresee any issues.
It looks like by the site plan,
Mhm.
the building, I'd say roughly is gonna be 5 foot. The end of the building is gonna be 5 foot less than where the end of the deck is now.
Same footprint? Okay. Exact same footprint.
Okay.
I think those are sidewalk lines, the
Oh, okay.
diagonals.
Parallel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from the site plan where the carry out or drive through area is,
Mhm.
that's usually just normal, it's gonna be full drive around the building now or by this.
Yes, there was always access to go around the building. I think they used it for employee parking in the back.
Yeah, okay. That's what I figured.
Yes. So they're just gonna have that open window.
Anybody have questions?
Uh,
Further questions?
If they're. No, we're good. If there's cars waiting for drive through.
Stack up,
If
since it's not an
they're-
order window, we don't have the same regulations for stack up.
Okay, so
Good
it's
question.
good with.
Fire.
Fire,
Mhm.
okay.
Well, I knew before, when the patio was put on,
Mhm.
came in to us, that there was parking. They had a permission from the church on the corner for excessive parking over there. Is that still
As far as I'm aware, it still stands.
not a problem there?
The hours help. Hours of operation help. The staggering hours of
right.
operation.
I would make a motion to approve the variance
to the minimum street setback requirements for 602 North Pearl Street with the condition of the final plat, the final site plan approved by Paola City Council, El Patro applicant.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, next order of business is the consideration and a vote on the recommendation of the final site plan for 602 North Pearl Street. El Potro Mexican Cafe LLC is the applicant.
Yes, sir. So we briefly talked about the site plan, that they're gonna add the 1,236 square feet addition. That would be combined with the existing 3,945 square foot existing building. The new addition would add 70 tables, 70 occupancies. So it would be from 99 plus 70 would be 169 max occupancy. Let's see here. So elevations are provided. All the existing will be untouched, but the addition, they will add the wainscoting to make it consistent with the existing structure. So to make it look like it was all put on at once. And you can see on the south elevation, it also shows the new pickup window as well, if you want to look at that. The only thing that was not included were some on-site drainage calculations. Since there's more rooftop added, I would recommend making that a condition that those were to be submitted for staff review just before the final site plan is submitted to planning commission, or I'm sorry, city council. Other than that, with everything existing, it's pretty straightforward. And it can also answer any questions you have. We provided this as well.
Just the additional walls, the outside wall sconces lighting, those, do you require a lighting plan for that or? No,
Not attached to the building.
Will both doors allow for emergency egress?
There's two existing exits and additional add another two.
So it'll be more than 3.5 bids over there, right at 2, so that's probably just.
Working, lost track of time. Sorry.
This.
I agree.
Okay.
Approve that. And we're considering that. We're getting ready to vote on that here.
Okay. Have been any discussions?
Nothing was major.
Okay.
Anybody have any further questions?
No, I think the only thing I would say that possibly could be the parking issue that I know they're real busy and it's usually, the lot's usually full now. And as long as the property owners at the church, everything are working back and forth, wouldn't be no problem there. And I don't think there has been.
Seems to be a good partnership from what I understand. So.
That's the only thing that I And so,
I walked by there last night and I noticed church parking lot was starting to fill up as well as theirs.
Good problem
Wasn't
to have.
filling up, but cars over there.
All right, I'll make a motion. I recommend the approval of the final site plan for 602 North Pearl Street with the condition that the applicant submits a site drainage calculations for review and staff approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Just take, I'll miss the outdoor dining.
I know.
It's a personal issue.
We've heard that, actually.
All right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
Best of both worlds then, okay.
That will excite you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
all right. Next item on the agenda is the Community/Economic Development Director report.
Yes, sir. So we have a few things. First, I put a handy little flyer with your packet about a public open house for our Paola comprehensive plan. It'll be on March 24th at the Paola Fire Station. It'll be in the gym. Instead of the training room this time, they're gonna set up all of the tables for each chapter, so you can take your time, peruse, and give some feedback. And then on March 29th, we're gonna have a joint city council and planning commission meeting. I'll send out information again to remind you guys. It'll be at 6 o'clock at the fire station training room, where they will review the feedback we got from the open house and all the draft. It's gonna be a lot of information, and I apologize ahead of time, so bring some coffee, be prepared to listen and provide feedback, because that's important. We're having a hard time getting a lot of public input, so
Yeah.
any thoughts on that would be awesome. And then after that meeting, the first public hearing for the draft will be at the planning commission meeting on April 19th. So that's exciting. We're in towards the end of this long journey here. The other piece of paper I provided to you guys looks like a plat. And on one part, it has Hidden Meadows and Indian Hills. And on the back, it has another little section of Hidden Meadows Phase 2. These are all single family lots that were bought by Roush and Coleman. They're a development company. They are looking at developing them fairly quickly. They have already submitted 8 permits to be reviewed. They hope to get started and have rooftops on all of those by Christmas, they said. That's a very lofty goal, but they want to move fairly quickly. The house plans range from slab homes to 2-story. It will blend in, from what I have seen on the house plans, it'll blend in well with the existing and will provide some very nice entry-level housing for our community that's in desperate need. So that's exciting. And then the broadband acceleration grant has been submitted, but we will not hear until May if our community has been selected. So thank you everyone for helping me get the word out, and your public input was greatly appreciated on that one. Other than that, I don't think I have any other updates. Is there any questions I can answer for you guys?
How is the broadband helping the community?
How is the broadband grant that we applied for?
Because everything is north,
Yes, so here, the
which
reason.
leaves out
Mhm.
our small businesses. It leaves out 90% of our community.
Sure, okay, so the reason why they had to do that section first is because they were able, the infrastructure is there on the water tower, and they were able to bury all of their lines. If they would do anything south of Baptiste in the more established part of town, they have to work with Evergy and get on their poles. The length of time that the grant was open, we didn't have enough time or money in the budget to be able to work with Evergy to get the amount they would want for each pole and an agreement set up for those poles. So getting the infrastructure built on the north part of town will allow us to move south quicker.
So who's been running underground cable all over town?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Isn't that something that, wouldn't they have to get a permit for running underground cable?
They get right-of-way permits through Public Works, but even
Okay.
if it's ran through underground, it doesn't mean it's lit. Most of the time, it's not lit. So even if it's ran underground, it's only lit for certain businesses.
Okay, so then
certain
somebody knows
entities.
who it is that,
Yes, our public works director should know who it is. He has all the right-of-way permits.
okay.
Mhm.
So to find out, do I contact him?
Absolutely, you can,
Okay.
Mhm.
Because it seems to me like they've run this stuff all over town,
they do. Mhm.
and then we're getting the north part of town done. And
Mhm.
I don't know, it does,
I know, I spoke to some subcontractors on the southeast corner of town around, Cherokee Drive. And they said that they were running all that for AT&T, is what they told me. Cause I was at a friend's house and they were in the front yard burying it in.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I think that AT&T went down Old KC Road south of town.
Yeah.
And then at the time, Lang's hooked into it.
Yeah.
So it was all older, because I know when I tried to switch service from my house here on Silver to over by the jail, the county jail, it was an older line and they canceled my contract, 'cause they couldn't provide internet service there. So that would make sense.
okay.
I try to do that. So.
My understanding is there's an AT&T line that comes from the north that certain businesses in town have paid
Mhm.
to have brought to their business.
Mhm.
And they had to pay to have it all,
Yes, that was
Right there.
privately paid.
yeah, privately paid to get it to AT&T to bring it to their business.
Yes.
And now they're kind of regretting it because it's not the best of service.
Yeah, I've heard complaints on every one of them.
Oh, yeah,
I hear a lot about Suddenlink.
Sometimes like,
sometimes like, yeah.
Before we go.
They have
sideways,
gotten
Oh,
better
yeah.
Could I
than
make a
they
motion
were
to
a
close?
year ago.
I'll second.
All right, meeting adjourned.